YouTube's been quiet with my content lately. If you can drop a like or comment, it'd mean the world. Thanks. Maggie and Alex had been married 3 years, but it felt much longer, in the best way. The kind of ease you slip into like an old sweatshirt. They first crossed paths at a mutual friend's wedding, hitting it off over hors d'oeuvres laced with just enough edible mischief to spark laughter. A year later, they stood at their own wedding, cutting into cake, while a sappy love song filled the air. Alex spent his days at the car factory, hands deep in gears and metal, while Maggie stared at spreadsheets in a colorless cubicle. Kids weren't part of the immediate picture. They treasured their shared moments, late-night shows, lazy brunches, and big dreams. With New Year's around the corner, their office opted for a budget-friendly celebration right in the workplace. Initially, this sent a ripple of anxiety through the staff, but Dana, Maggie's closest work ally, quickly took the reins. The office breathed easier. Maggie became her partner in crime, hunting for festive supplies on Amazon. Glittery banners, shiny drinkware, if it screamed party, it went in the cart, even as Dana groaned at the tackiness. One lunch break, Dana headed out to pick up more decorations. Maggie, running on caffeine and fumes, made her way to the break room. As she reached for a cup, a familiar voice slid in behind her. Afternoon. She didn't have to turn. It was Nick, the smooth-talking regional sales manager, always towing the line of flirtation. "Hey, Nick," she replied. They chatted about the snowstorm that had frozen traffic the day before. Then, without warning, he leaned in closer. "What are you wearing to the party?" he asked. "Can't wait to see you in something short." Her face flushed. She stared into her coffee like it held answers. "Haven't decided yet," she murmured. "You should," he said with a knowing smile, and walked off. The moment clung to her. Days later, she stood in a boutique, holding a black dress that barely passed as office-appropriate, sparkly tights slung over her arm. When Alex saw the outfit, concern flickered in his eyes. "That's bold, babe." She kissed his cheek and promised to behave. But her heart pounded as she walked away. The office party buzzed with cheap champagne and copier toner. Maggie scanned the room and spotted Nick. His gaze lingered, lips curving in approval. He didn't approach right away, just kept his distance, letting anticipation simmer. Maggie took refuge in another glass of bubbly. Eventually, he crossed the room. "Dance with me?" She nodded a little too fast. His cologne was dizzying. On the dance floor, their bodies moved in rhythm, her nerves electric. As the night neared its end, he leaned in. "After party at my place. Just a few people. You coming?" "Who's going?" she asked, her throat dry. "Evan and Katie." Logic struggled to break through the buzz of wine and impulse. Dana caught wind and pleaded with her to go home. Maggie laughed her off. Nick's place smelled of pine candles and hidden danger. Whiskey flowed. Rides were called. Maggie took a shot that numbed more than nerves. By midnight, she was outside lighting a cigarette when Nick joined her. One look, and he leaned in for a kiss. Her heart thundered. They stumbled inside. But once in the bedroom, she realized they weren't alone. Evan was there too. His arms slid around her. Had she been sober, she might have stopped it. But she wasn't. Morning hit with cruel light and colder regret. Maggie woke between two men, clothes scattered like confessions. The door stood wide open. She grabbed her things and fled. When she got home, Alex was waiting, his jaw locked tight. She had promised to be home by midnight. It was now 6 in the morning. Mascara streaked her cheeks. She said nothing, just ran for the shower, scrubbing until her skin stung. She spent the next week curled under guilt. The office felt like a crime scene. Dana kept her eyes down. Nick and Evan barely acknowledged her. The silence hurt worse than words. And then, on a quiet Sunday, Maggie broke. She told Alex everything. Sobs soaked her sleeves. She couldn't even say the worst of it before he interrupted. "I saw it in your eyes that morning," he said. And then he said nothing else. A sob rose in her throat, catching before it could escape. "I've been wondering if I'll ever be able to forgive myself," she said softly. "But I want to try." Dropping to her knees, she gripped his hands tightly, murmuring thank you again and again. Alex let out a long, weary breath. Just give me time. But time didn't move in a straight line. It twisted and turned, confusing and cruel. He made the effort, and Maggie saw it, really saw it, but the past clung to them both like fog. 2 years passed, and when she gently brought up the idea of having a child, his expression gave the answer before he even spoke. The divorce papers came quietly, but the feelings that followed were anything but silent. Alex had only one request, that she leave her job. The place was soaked in memories, and he couldn't bear it.
She didn't argue.
She went back to live with her mother, scraping by on a new job that barely covered fuel costs. The nights were long, filled with fluorescent lights, cracked floors, and the relentless whispers of what if. To others, she'd say a single impulsive night had shattered her life. But what she never admitted was that sometimes she still thought of a kiss under moonlight on a high balcony and couldn't tell whether it was guilt or yearning that scorched her more. Then she'd dry her eyes, clock in for another graveyard shift, and whisper a silent hope that maybe tomorrow she'd finally forget.